Hey, what's good, everybody? It's your boy Jamie K, Jamie Colasar at Jamie Colasar, the new Negro. I'm back.
AKA the new Negro. We got to get that in.
I know, right? I know, right? The new and improved Negro, man.
That's
Yo,
right.
what's good, fam?
Yo, what up, man? What's good with you, man? How are you? This has been a heavy week.
Man, I'm just tired, man. Like
Word.
straight up, just tired, Joe. Man, with all the stuff that's happened. I mean, man, it's like wave after wave. So you got Ahmaud Arbery, you got the Breonna Taylor, and then
Mhm.
you got this joint with George Floyd. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
what else, man?
Yeah, man. This week has definitely been on a lot of levels. I think on full display what trauma looks like, to Black people. I mean, it's already been on full display, but I think that this just kind of amplifies and paints a realistic picture of what we've been going through all along. I think that now that cameras are here and camera phones and those things and social media, it's more on the front line in terms of people that probably would be in complete denial at the fact that these things were happening are now having to face the reality. I think back to Selma and the march across the bridge. The only reason why it was, is gruesome to folks that probably would have never heard it is because it was televised.
Right.
If it wasn't televised, it would have just been another march, another, encounter with the law, where they were able to just brutalize us continuously without any repercussions. So I think that, this week was just definitely one for the books for sure.
Yeah, I think somebody Will Smith said, and people were putting it all over on the internet, that racism isn't getting worse, it's getting filmed.
Right.
And so it's not like these atrocities haven't been happening. It's just the fact that now what we've been saying for years, you got now you got video evidence. And
Right.
even with video evidence, y'all still letting cats off. Still
Right.
letting cats get away with that. I just saw another video today, man. These two cops like literally drop kicked this black man in the back after they tased him, only to dragged his wife out the car, only to discover it was the wrong dude.
I just want to know, what part of training is that? Like, at what point in their training does that type of behavior is like, incremental, the course of study that they have to do or training that they have to go through? At what point do they say like, okay, putting your knee on someone's neck is part of protocol? From what I understand, that wasn't even protocol.
Yeah.
So, I just don't understand it. I'm completely baffled.
Man, it's not training, it's implicit bias, man. It's just you view black men as animals, wildebeest that have to be put down. That's what that is. You born with that.
Right.
In America.
I saw a meme that basically said, that showed a picture of, a cop with his knee on a dog, and basically alluding to the fact that America would be more outraged of that picture than, a cop's knee on a human being's neck. So they absolutely either don't see us as, equals, or, this is just something that's inherently wired in them. So whenever they encounter us or they deal with us, we get the short end of the stick. I even think in terms of like Dylan Roof's arrest.
Oh yeah,
this guy, massacred a church, and then I saw pictures of cops giving this guy water.
Burger King. They bought him Burger King, man. It's like, and that's the difference with two Americas. How one group is policed and how we are policed. It's two different Americas, man.
Yeah, so, I guess what I was going to ask you was, did you get a chance to watch the video? Did you watch the video at all?
Which video?
The video of Floyd.
Oh, nah, man.
Yeah.
Man, look, to the people that are watching right now, please don't revoke my black card, but I just can't watch a human being die like that, and unless I have a way to process it, man. It's like I already can play it in my mind, man. It's like just seeing the picture is just like enough for me, man. Just the fact that this dude is handcuffed, he's on his stomach, he's yelling for his mom, the picture of him I've heard that he was yelling for his mom, but the picture of the cop with his knee on his neck is reminiscent of Eric Gardner and I Can't Breathe. It's just hard to bring myself to watch that stuff, man, and the harsh realities.
Yeah, I don't think I ever will watch it. You know, this week my wife asked me if I was gonna have that conversation with my son, was I gonna, sit him down and talk to him about it? And I immediately went to like this place of just like, no, like it's almost like, what's the point? If you educate your kids and educate your sons how to be respectful, how to obey the law, how to do all these things correctly, and yet and still their fate will be, they will still meet a fate as the one that George Floyd encountered. I don't know that any training will shorten that curve, because you can meet a cop on a regular day and boom, something happens. So I made a decision not to even discuss it, because I don't even want to lace his life with the traumas that we already have to encounter as grown men.
Yeah.
So I just made a decision that I wasn't even going to pour that into his spirit at all.
Yeah. And what's crazy though is eventually you're going to have that talk with him. It's like it's a conversation that you can't avoid eventually. And unfortunately, we have to do this for our sons. We have to tell them, and our daughters too, my daughters, that we have to tell them how to act when they're in front of police. Like no other race is having this.
Has to have that conversation ever.
But yo, man, you and I, man, we could dig into this.
Word.
I want to keep going, but I think it'll be awesome if we bring our guest panelists in to help us with this conversation. What do you think about that?
I think we need to do it. Bring them out. All
right, man. We got nobody else but Sean Williams, the founder and the CEO, the originator, the creator of the Dad Gang. Here we go.
The legendary
Sean. What up, fam?
What's up, fellas? What's
going on with you, man?
This amazing intro. Stop. It's too much.
Yo, that was only to get one of those paintings off the wall. That's all.
I know, right? I know. That's about it, man. But how you feeling, man? What's going on?
I mean, considering I feel fine. I'm in good health. The family's okay, but mentally, man, everybody's exhausted, man. Like incredibly exhausted, tired.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to process what's going on right now.
Yeah.
So do me a favor. Tell the people a little bit about, one, who you are, the organization that you founded, and I guess the reason why you felt like there was a void as to why you felt like it needed to be launched.
All right. So as you guys said, Sean Williams, I am a father of 3. Work-wise, I do creative direction and graphics or whatnot. But so the Dad Gang, the funny thing about when I started the Dad Gang, it was in 2016. We've been doing it for about 3 years now. And I live in a predominantly white neighborhood. At this point, I had my second child, who was about, I'm trying to remember how old she was, but she was young enough for her to be strapped to my chest, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm in the grocery, and this happened often because, again, I work from home, so I was with her very often when she was young, and always. But we're doing some errands, and I'm taking her with me. We're going through the produce aisle, and I would get a lot of stares, like, oh, look at this guy, and playing with his daughter. And I'm a very active dad, so I would get a lot of stares, a lot of white people looking. I would get compliments here and there. And this one particular day, elderly white woman stopped me, and I'm trying to remember who exactly. It was another hashtag, another black man dropped by police, and it was another airy type of vibe, just in the country or whatnot. Well, for black people, and this one elderly white woman, she came to me, she said, verbatim, "I'm so sorry about what's happening to your people." So she was trying to empathize. She was like, "It's sick. It's crazy." I'm like, yeah. She goes, you guys don't deserve this. And then she goes, "Is that your baby?" And I said, I mean, yes, strapped to my chest. Of course it's my baby. And then in the same breath, she said, "It's so glad to see that you stuck around."
Wow.
Everybody always has that reaction. Even me, I was like, because it started off like, I'm thinking, oh, like this white lady, she gets it. She's like, she knows something. And she said, "I'm so glad to see you stuck around, young guy." And I'm like, yo, what do you mean stuck around?
Wow.
But, they're ignorant. I realized, I came home, I was upset. I told my wife, I told my friends, I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, are y'all getting stares? Like, what is this? And after like thinking about it for a little while, I figure, where I live, like they just don't see it, especially if you live in a predominantly white neighborhood. A lot of these people don't interact with black people. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like on a large scale or on an intimate level. So this was her opportunity. And I mean, that's what came out of her mouth. So it was on my heart, man. Like all night, I'm like, that's crazy. Cause like me and all my boys are such good dads. Like
Right.
even to like hear that, it makes you feel, it makes you feel less than, or, you just get angry. So the next day I said, look, I'm going to, 'cause I was already doing videos with my daughter and well, both my daughters. I said, you know what? I'm going to try to do a platform to just highlight more active dads like myself.
Hmm.
And then the next day I started the Dad Gang with the mission of changing the way the world views black fathers. And man, as soon as I started posting myself, the hashtag started to go, it was heavily supported. And within months, not even months, within weeks, it was like just more and more people, just more and more dads like, yes, we need this. Yes. And the funny thing about the organization or even the platform, at first it was just a digital platform. The content is not hard to find. You know what I mean? Like black dads being active, we're not actors. It's the easiest content to find
Right.
because we're very proud. We're very proud. And to be honest, most of us, since we know of the stereotype, I feel like we kind of move within like we approach fatherhood with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. You know what I
Right.
mean? Whether it's from our past or whether it's just because we know how, white America paints us. So we move, like we have soul, but we move with a little bit of purpose too when we out here with our kids. And I think it really shines through the Instagram and the Facebook and pretty much everything we do.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. It's unfortunate that that narrative is so prevalent, in our country. And, when you were saying that, I remember like thinking about, I'm going back to like a defining moment for me was when Trayvon Martin was killed. And I think after that, there was another young man named Jordan Edwards. But what was evident in that was that the father was there, like during all those press conferences and things like that, because what they were going to try to preach was a narrative of like, oh, this is a black boy that didn't grow up with his father. And they try to make it seem like it's like there's like all of us are like fatherless or we don't
Yeah.
have a male figure in our life. So, man, I appreciate the fact that you have highlighted that and changing narratives about black men and fatherhood.
I
Yep.
think what's wild to me is the fact that that's even a platform that's needed.
Yeah.
Dude, it's insane.
I'm sitting here and I'm trying to I listen, and I don't want
Process
to
that.
take away from the work that you do because it's an important work, but I'm sitting here trying to process and understand. I don't ever see Chinese men do this. I don't even
They
see
don't need to.
Hispanic men do this. I
They
don't
don't need
see
to.
right. And the fact that we have to prove to the world. Why, so let me ask you this. Why isn't it enough for us to just do our jobs or play in our roles as fathers? Why is it necessary to even have to put that on display?
Yeah.
You know what? I feel like the images are so important. And, a funny thing about this whole situation, or even starting the Dad Gang, when I say to change the way the world views black fathers, after starting the page, I realized a lot of our own community suffered from
Hmm.
believing in that stereotype. A lot of
Hmm.
women, a lot of men, a lot of people who may have came from broken homes, they assumed that the normal was these fatherless families, these broken homes, and that seeing all of these images is like, oh wow, I mean, they were shocked too, and it was
Hmm.
very surprising that our own community kind of fed into it. But just like what they're doing right now, if the media keeps on shoving something in your face, you start to believe it. It starts to become normal to you. So if every time, I remember sometime along the course of dropping content for the Dad Gang, I saw a parallel with some same crime. A white man and a black man did the same crime. They got arrested or whatever have you. And the headline or the image that they put up for the white guy was a family shot, like him and his
Hmm.
kids. And then for the black guy, they put this like really dark, like he looked tired. They even like messed with the color of the picture. He just looked like a criminal. You know what I mean? So these images, like they get drilled into our own psyche. Like we start seeing these images too. So the image of a black guy or a black dad might not be like this whole suited. Like they see me with a hat word backwards or whatever have you, and the furthest thing they thinking is, oh, this dude is some active dad. You know what I mean? Like he's
Right.
this really nice, loving, nurturing dad versus like the typical white family in a frame that you might see in Walmart. You know, like that's
Mm.
what they select for him. So
Yeah.
for me, it became a thing where the images weren't just about changing the narrative just so you could see it on Instagram, but it's like there's no access. When you Google black dads, not enough pictures of us come up. You
Right.
know what I mean? But when you Google white dads or when you Google dads, period, you
White
see,
images come up.
dude, it's ridiculous. So even if it was just to change the digital footprint of what images are sourced for black
Mhm.
dads, even that's enough. You know what I mean? Like it's important. The content, like these images to be out in the world is very important for
Yeah.
us.
Word, word.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I hate the fact that it feels like for Black people in America, we have to constantly prove ourselves. You know, like
Yeah.
we have to constantly prove our identity. We have to prove the reason why we belong here. We have to prove
Hmm.
why we don't deserve to be, killed, have a cop put his neck on our knee. We have to protest and fight for everything
Yeah.
that is, that other people don't have to, and
Yeah.
other people just it's automatically given to them, and we are just constantly always just having to put ourselves out there and making sure that that we're changing narratives and things that's
Yeah.
going on. So Sean, help me understand, man. Like, what are some of the some of the challenges that you've been having with the dad gang, or maybe there aren't any challenges? What's been it? Has it been an uphill battle or a smooth battle? Like, tell me what's going on.
I'll be completely honest with you.
Hmm.
From the day I started the dad gang, it's been nothing but blessing after blessing after
Mm.
blessing after blessing. Um, and I think the reason being is because it was needed so badly. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's coming from a place of love, of genuine, like I genuinely love being a dad. Here's where I am in life, right? So I
Right.
feel like if you're a cool dude, and I consider myself a cool dude, I feel like any phase you're in, right? If
Hmm.
you really take to that phase and you approach it with the same finesse that you approach anything else with,
Right.
you should, you know what I'm saying? It should come off pretty cool. So when I became a dad earlier, my oldest daughter, she's 15 now. I did not welcome the idea. I was young, I was fresh out of college. It was
Mhm.
like I wasn't prepared for it. So I didn't really know how to navigate. But by the time I had my second kid, I was married, I was settled down. I was so excited to be a dad again for the
Mm.
second time around and take this whole approach that being a father became my thing. So I feel like God kind of put me in this position to be the right man for the job, whereas I can not only just present the Dad Gang as a digital platform with some nice, graphics because I am a visual artist, but also I'm an active dad. So I'm living the life and creating content of my life and sharing content of my friends doing it. And we're all doing it because, we're like mid 30s. We're all having young ones. If you're not talking about when you have a kid, you know what happens. You start talking about
Right.
the kid all the time.
Right.
Yep.
You get away from the kids, you with your wife, and y'all start talking about the kids
Yep.
still. So it's like that's just where I was in life. So after starting the dad gang, being able, it never felt like work for me. It never felt burdensome. And the more exposure we got, is just the more doors that keeps on opening. And I just keep on approaching it from a place of love. Everybody I've met, everybody I've spoken to, has always
That's what's
been
up.
from a place where they understand it. Yeah, so it's been. I cannot say one bad thing about like the entire situation. More
Nice.
so personal things. Though. It was. I think any negative thing would be like me having to learn the business that I'm in terms of community building,
Yeah.
right? Because
Mm.
before I was just a complete creative. I'm just doing graphics, but now it's like your community building. We have merch out. It's like it's growing at a rapid rate. So there's a lot of different areas of the business that I have to grow into. But outside of that, and even that can't really even call that a bad thing, right?
Yeah. Facts.
So
Yeah.
let me ask you. So whenever I see, anyone that's proficient at something, I always ask them about their inspiration or like what's the source of what's the source that inspires them to do what they do, right? So in your case, you have this organization that's targeted and
Hmm.
specifically dedicated to the support
Hmm.
and embetterment of what fatherhood should look like within the Black
Hmm.
community. What was your relationship like with your dad?
So my dad, we actually weren't that close growing up.
Mm.
We weren't that close at all. My dad, both of my parents are from Trinidad,
Mm.
so they migrated here. My sister and I were the first of the family to be born in America. And at that point, I feel like my dad, I mean, I could say this now that we're older because we have a great relationship now. now we're like friends now. But in my not even my teens, before my teens, I just grew up not close. I felt like he was very hard on me, and I didn't like him at all. I don't think we never bonded. We never did anything. There was no friendship, no relationship where I would consider him like to be like someone I idolized or even wanted to emulate. So it was very distant, very separate up until manhood, up until I became a full grown adult. And I think what I know now, after I held on to this resent for a very long time. But once I got a family of my own, I had to start seeing things a lot differently. He and I started talking on different terms, and if you're West Indians understand, like when you become like 16, 17, it becomes such a challenge to like who you think is a big man. You know what I'm saying? Like now it's an issue. I was just trying to grow into my own manhood, and it was a problem for him. But I don't even think he had the tools from his father to like bond with me the way I thought I should be bonded with. But not only that, as an immigrant in Brooklyn with 3 kids, like working for pennies, trying to keep, he was always there. He was never absent. Like we were always there. The family was always together. So now as a dad with my bills and all my everything I got going on, I could kind of understand where he's from, and I have a lot more resources, a lot more financial stability that, what I'm saying, as opposed to him moving to America, starting his family, not having any money. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not excusing the fact that he didn't bond with me, but I resented it so much and I didn't understand what it was. But now I think it really put a battery in my back. My approach with my kids, like they're the first thing, like they're the top priority. Forget work. Like we gonna make money. Right? Of course, you got to make money, but it's like the biggest job you'll ever have got to be your family. You know what I'm saying? I don't think he took that approach, and I told him about it. But I think it fueled me. I say this on the Dad Gang too. Your dad is going to give you something, whether it's a lesson on what to do or what not to do. But and I don't think either lesson, whichever one you get, I don't think it's an excuse for you to be a lesser dad. It's not an excuse to be a deadbeat. I think take your lessons, learn from it, and be the best dad you could be for your child. Because now you're in the driver's seat. Now you're the dad. Yeah. So you can't keep on blaming. You know what I'm saying? Like blaming what happened to you. And of course we have trauma and we got to go through that. But get out of here. Like this is your kid. Put them first. Do what you got to do, and you'll be straight. You know what I'm saying? Learn what you have to learn.
Yeah, man. Unfortunately, the narrative that you shared is like a common narrative in West Indian. And I say even in American homes too, with fathers that are there, because sometimes I think like, even in my situation, Caribbean dads believe that as long as I'm working and as long as you got a roof over your head, that's all you know. I'm doing, this is me being a father, and you should understand that. But kids, we don't understand that. We want, and what's crazy is, this is what the point I wanted to make is that the difference between our community and white communities is that their fathers probably some of them don't have to work as hard as our immigrant fathers or our fathers have to. They have wealth handed down to them. They have communities where they can walk outside and do activities with their children. In our neighborhoods that we grew up in, man, you get shot if you go to the playground and something at the back of the court. Right. So man. So it's interesting, but I like what you said, that you get something from your dad. You either get something you want to carry into your parenting, or you become something that you don't want to be. You don't want to mirror in your in what you've experienced.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's crazy wild just sitting here listening to you talk about that, about your relationship with your father, and it makes me think to mine specifically because even now, like I hold on to, there's just like this, and Jamie and I have talked about this, but there's this place in me that I can't let go of the robbery I felt in terms of the relationship that I felt like I should have had with my father versus what I got, right? And I've even gone as far as to say, you can't use your job or working to provide as an excuse to not bond with your child or to not have a relationship or those kinds of things. And in your case, I think I may be able to one up you. I come from a Haitian family, so then there's the language barrier,
Right.
and trying to explain from an emotional intelligence standpoint why some of his behaviors or actions or inactions hurt us. I remember one time my siblings wanted to facilitate a call with my dad to try to, this is when we're much older. I'm off, I'm living in Texas. I got my house now. I got my family, and they felt like it was a good idea to facilitate this call with my dad. And I hope they don't mind me telling the story, but with my dad to kind of talk about some of the traumatic things that we experienced living under his roof. And I warned, this is going to go bad. He's not going to be able to sit through being told about the choices and things that he did. And lo and behold, maybe within 5 minutes of the conversation, it went south. and I shut it down immediately. I hung up. And even now, like I think back, in terms of, some of the conversations I could have had with my dad, and I just wasn't mature enough to have those conversations in a way where I could restrain myself from being angry and just have a level-headed conversation. So I think just hearing you say that now later in life, you were able to kind of level now that you have your own family and you can see some of the things that he may have struggled with. But I do believe that it is true that you learn the lessons, good or bad, whatever they may be, and apply that to the situation because you have kids now. You can't ignore that. My question to you is, so for those dads, right, because every dad ain't perfect. Every dad ain't in their kid's life, and let's keep it funky, right? For those dads that have been out of their child's lives for so long and have not made an effort up to this point to do so, what advice would you give to get them to reconcile and try to make those relationships whole?
Oh man, I feel like people are such a precious commodity. You know what I mean? Like you miss out. There was a point where my dad and I, we really weren't talking. And one of the last things I told him, I'm like, yo, dude, you don't even know me. And you have no idea what you're missing in just not connecting with me, but I'm not going to hold you. That's your loss. It's your loss. So I don't want to scare anybody that's not connected to their kid, but it's such a big loss to not connect with your own child, your own flesh and blood. It's like you're really shortchanging your own life and your own blessing. You know what I mean? Because it's a person you're missing out on. This is not just a material thing. So I don't even know what to tell a person like that. It's more so just sharing our experiences. That's what I tell them. Follow the page, see what we do, see what we get out of it. Because I literally consider myself, before I list any job or occupations that I have, I would say I'm a dad. That's the one thing no one can fire me from being a dad.
Wow.
You could only do that to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a bar.
We can get married, right?
Right.
You could be an ex-husband. You could be an ex whatever you did, ex-NFL player, ex-ball player, ex-whatever. The only thing you cannot be fired from is being a dad. The only job. So I feel like you got to approach it like that. That's how precious it is.
Yeah.
So, and you get the reward when your kids man, I've seen kids grow up to bless their parents, they reach that level of success or just a place in life where they could start to give it back to their parents. To be honest, that's the best retirement plan anyway. So take care of your kids.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. So the things that kids need or sons need or daughters need, it's absolutely free. Time. You don't have to pay your kids for that, man. Just spending time with them. And there's something else, man, that I don't know if you've witnessed this with the many different fathers that belong to the dad gang. I know you get them from all walks of life, different cultures and things like that. When I was in Africa and when you were bringing up the gift giving back, man, I just saw something that was so unique as I spent it there in Kenya with families. And they would have these dinners. And before anyone can leave the house, they would affirm each other. They would have a session of affirming each other. And then it was a birthday party. And this blew my mind. It was the son's birthday party. And instead of him getting a gift, he gave his parents a gift.
Really?
He gave his father a gift for loving him, for leading him, and for all that he did. And I was like, man, that is so different from what we've been accustomed to And I think, man, that divorce from our African roots and our African cultures has really, like, you know, done the damage to fatherhood, and the meaning of it, and the blessing in it. You know, we got things like Maury Povich, and I'm about to use the N word on here. You got things like Maury Povich and dudes dancing when they find out they're not the father. You know, it's almost like they dodged a bullet.
Right. It's sick. And this is what I talk about, like the media, like we get so much information, so much bad information. And also on top of that, leaving Africa, leaving all these Caribbean countries that we were our heritage is from, we lost so much tradition, dude. Like we're all here trying to piece, even in my own, like under my dad's roof. I don't know what traditions we really held on to. I couldn't even tell you. So something I encourage anybody following the dad gang, or even my brothers or whatever have you, I'd be like, yo, we got to start some new traditions, dog, because those are the things that we pass down that the kids can always hold on to. That's how you can keep your own name alive. Like, you know what, my dad, like my sons can always think back to, like, yo, my great grandfather, Sean Williams, this is how he did barbecue sauce. So let's do it. Even if it don't taste good, let's do it to like honor his memory, because it's a Williams tradition. You know what I mean? Like now you have something to build around and have fun with, and like talk about it, and to talk about your ancestors and everything else. So I think tradition is super important. Like to your point, Jamie, very important. And we lost a lot of that.
Yeah. You talked earlier about, you know, the community building aspect of it. So when I was in college, a friend of mine had recently had a child with a young lady, and they were dating at the time, and things were great. And then things went south. And I remember him inviting me to the court proceedings to, I guess, sit through, actually be a character witness, to speak on the behalf of him and saying how great of a father he was and how he provided and so forth. And just watching that whole process play out, and having to now go through the courts to have a relationship with his son. And it was probably one of the most like heartbreaking things to see. And it actually made me rethink the idea of ever wanting to have kids, if that was going to be the path I'd have to take in order to have a relationship with my child. My question to you is, how do you help, I guess, some of the men that may come to you or that may want to join your organization that have similar situations like that? How do you help them navigate something like that? How do you even how does your organization even keep them motivated to even want to go through the court system if that's the route that they have to take in order to have a relationship?
I mean, it's a hard one. It's a hard one. And being as though I'm not in that position, a lot of times I tell dads when they reach the page, like I try to link them with people in similar situations, or even professionals, because I don't want to misstep or give somebody bad advice. Like, for instance, one dad, he said, he's going through the whole court thing. He loved his daughter. Like, it's been months. It's going on years now. Like, he can't communicate with her. What should he do? And I told him, you know what, you need to write down how you feel and date it and keep on writing it down, because there will come a point where your daughter becomes a woman, and you don't need her mother saying whatever shit. You need proof of how you felt in real time. You know, that you can. So write some letters, man. Like, document this stuff. If you want a video, like do a vlog, I don't know, whatever you got to do, but you need to document. If you can DM the dad gang and ask us this question, that means you truly care and you really want to prove something. I'm like, you need to, even though you might not be able to speak to her every day, speak to her. Like, write down what you feel. And he hit me back months later, and he's like, yo, dude, you're a genius. Like, because it ended up playing out. At this point, he might have had like 30 notes, like, 30 letters. Like, this is major for a kid who might be hearing that her dad doesn't care about her, or her dad doesn't want to see her. Because when it gets to the court and it gets crazy, co-parenting becomes a crazy thing. Like, they try to use the child as a pawn. So he said it really helped them out. So I mean, that was like just one of the tools for me. One of the tools that I told them. But for anybody in the court system, man, I mean, it's a crazy thing, because the court system is also very biased to fathers, like incredibly biased.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's really hard to, not being a legal person, to like say what they can do in that situation to put them in a better position. Because really and truly, I've had dads, or like older dads that I know, who've been in better positions, financial positions, stability, and the court still decided in the mother's favor.
Yeah.
You
Wow.
know, and yeah, and like one of my mentors, actually, he went through it for 18 years until the kid was of age where he could say, nah, he's moving with me. He's old, he should have been moved with me, but for the last 10 years, that's how the court had it set up, and they wouldn't hear anything. So it's a terrible position to be in, but
Yeah.
it's also not the worst thing in the world. To be quite
Right.
honest, my oldest and my oldest daughter, I I have such a great co-parenting relationship. Like we we really, but really and truly, I guess it's good because I never chose to fall back. So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
always been a great situation. When it became to like it was never really in court, but I did make certain things legal on paper because you never know where life is gonna go
Right.
with her mother. So some things I really had to get down on paper for me. And
Mhm.
when I petitioned the court, it was the judge really said, "This is odd. Your petition in the court. You already support. What are you doing here?" And I just said, we're not in a relationship, so I just don't want it to ever be a situation where us co-parenting becomes a reason why she wants to come after, me or my family. I'm gonna have other children, which I do now, and it might stir up some jealousy, not in my child, but in her
Right.
mother. And
Mhm.
so I would say to that, if to anybody that realizes they're going into a co-parenting situation, a preventative measure you might want to petition the court first. I mean, I'm not saying, and it's not about money, right? If you're supporting your kid, you're not going to be thinking about money,
Right.
and that's what the judge told us as well. They were like, whatever. They was like, because you petitioned us, we would have to like check the financials to see what it was, and her mother said, it's not really necessary because I was paying for everything. I pay for everything now. And the judge said if we had to mandate something, you'd be getting a lot less than what's happening right now. So I was always in a really great position. So to that point, I'm saying if anybody is in the position where you feel like it can go south and you want to petition the court and you're not afraid of what the financials are going to look like, I think it will play in your favor if you do it as opposed to the mom doing it.
Yeah.
For certainly.
Yeah, I want to pivot a little bit and
Yeah.
kind of look at it from the other side, right? And looking at Black men in America and the challenges
Mhm.
that we have to face. And sometimes, having children young, the idea of being a
Mhm.
father can be quite scary,
Mhm.
coupled with systematic injustice and racism. Like we just saw, I don't even know if George Floyd has kids, but he has a family.
He does. He has a daughter.
Yeah.
Now we just saw a dad being,
Mhm.
murdered, and a girl is going to have to grow up without her father.
Mhm.
Does the dad gang have like support for mothers, like, or what's the relationship with the dad gang and mothers with situations like that, or just in general, with having children without fathers?
So I really need to open up a bigger resource for moms because we do get a lot of questions of moms saying, how do they do this? How do they raise these men? They're following, they're listening, but most of our language is geared, since it's geared towards dads, we
Mhm.
don't speak directly to moms on the page. But via DM, we answer as many as possible. And I
Yeah,
kick it to my friends sometimes before I answer, I might hit up some of the therapists or some of the guys that we already have in our network and say, look, this person needs help. To be quite honest, the dad gang following might be at 80,000 now, and it's, I want to say, 60 or 70% women followers.
Wow.
So, hmm hmm a lot of them use it as examples. They might send it to their co-parent. They use it. They might send it to their partner. So the women are very heavy support. If you don't have a Black women support, you got nothing. So
Right.
I really appreciate their support.
Word.
And no, like we try to answer as much as we can, but it's so many questions that come at us and so many things that we're doing that we really can't answer the call to everybody and answer every scenario. Because even myself and the couple other guys that help me run the page, sometimes we just don't even have the answers.
yeah,
Like sometimes we really don't. But it is something that we want to try to address as we expand and realize the call is of
yeah,
the many, of not just dads, it's of
yeah.
single moms, it's of it's a
Yeah,
lot of us.
well,
It's
for what you
it's
said,
it's
you are
necessary.
addressing it. I think the fact that you're putting out that content is is better than a whole lot than what other people aren't, and so that women can watch look at that and they can see, and and I think it's also encouraging. I would think, I'm not a woman, but I would believe that it's also encouraging to see that there are men that don't fit that stereotype, that fit this stereotype, that there are fathers who are doing this, and that whatever my situation is, it just didn't pan out for me in that way. Yeah.
You mentioned something earlier, and you kind of slid it in really quickly, but I wanted to highlight it because every successful white man that I know always reference some mentor that they've had, in the past, like somebody that kind of gave them guidance. This is separate and apart from a father, right? You mentioned earlier that, your mentor and all that. So can you speak a little bit about that, as to why that's an important tool to have in your toolbox?
Oh my God, I think a mentor is so important. And I'll say this, I didn't have a mentor until I got my mentor after I was married, and I've been married for 5 years. So, I mean, I got a mentor in my 30s, and I wish I had one prior to, because he's been so instrumental in like helping me and figure out just different aspects of life, So I think if for anyone that doesn't have one, find one and find somebody with experience, somebody with some knowledge that might steer you in the direction that you want to go. That's really why I spoke to him. He was a well-educated, strong Black man. His field is in education, but what I needed in community building and like just the things I saw, I had to ask him. I really humbled myself because, mind you, I'm in my 30s now, and I said, look, we've been good friends, because he's one of my frat brothers, one of my older frat brothers. I said, we're frat brothers. We've been good friends for a while, but I would definitely like to move our relationship, our friendship, into like a mentor phase, because I need to lean on you for certain areas. And he accepted, and he was honored to have me, and I was honored to have him. And it changed my whole game, dude. Like, changed the game for me. You know what I mean? Somebody that can hold me accountable with the advice that he was giving me. If he saw that I wasn't following certain things, he goes, dude, you asked for this.
Right.
Like, if you want to get where I'm at, there's a few things you need to do, and that might not be it. So I think it's really important and you can have mentors for different things too. There's dudes that I was going to say idolize, but not idolize. I would consider Will Smith like one of my mentors, like just how he approaches life, and like certain things that he did. It used to be just he was cool, but now seeing Will Smith at 50 years old talking about life and family, it's like I see myself there. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I want to do. So I like to take a lot of nuggets from different people and really like, not swagger jacket, but like if you see something that no, it's true. It's true, because sometimes your mentor might not, for men, if your mentor is not your dad, and that's a crazy thing too. Right. Because I feel like naturally God gives you these two people, your mom and your dad, that should mentor you through life, right?
Right.
But of course, if your path is different and you feel like you want to go a different route, and your dad might not be into the same thing, whatever the case may be, of course, why not pick up more mentors? See somebody, get a mentor. So I think as I got older and my dad wasn't my mentor, I really had to ask someone and find someone, right? Because I was seeing these different things. I was seeing men. I knew what I wanted to be. I knew what kind of man I wanted to be, but no one was teaching it to me. Like I was just seeing it, and I would pick it up until I like held on to this specific man, and I'm so grateful because he really like just changed my game, man. Changed the whole game.
And that's so true, man, with that mentor, because for me, and I don't know about for you guys, but there was a point in my life where rappers became my mentor, and that's who I wanted to be. Like, I'll never forget, man, Nas said, high school dropout, never liked it since day one. I wanted to drop out because I was like, Nas dropped out, he's successful, he's a rapper, I want to do that, you know what I'm saying? And so that's my support. And, and I have a great relationship with my dad. My parents are divorced, but he was always present. And I think the one thing that I know like we were talking about earlier, that I pulled from my dad as a mentor, was his presence. Like, even though he and my mom didn't work out, he still never like abandoned me and my sisters. He was still present. If we called him, he'd show up. If we needed anything, even to this day, he'll still show up. And so it's so important to have that mentor, that figure, to kind of just instill those positive values in us, that we could pass on to the next generation.
Absolutely.
So I have a question for you. So, let's talk about the benefits of having a dad present in a home, or having a dad present in a relationship with their kids. Like, what are some of the just off the bat, like maybe the top 5 things that you've seen that kids benefit from having dads around?
I mean, just to have both parents in your house just changes the game, because you're getting your life skills and all your advice or everything you need from two different backgrounds, right? And two different people who both have the best for you in mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have a dad that, like, I really, in my home, I really try to, like, it's not about manhood, but I like really try to like play my role like as a provider, protector, father, whatever have you. I feel like my kids are looking at me be in my role, right? They're looking at me be a husband. So there's some things I might not have to tell my son, because he's gonna pick it up naturally. He goes outside in the backyard and literally picks flowers for my wife. I didn't teach him this.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like because kids are sponges, like he's learning things. Like
Mm-hmm.
compassion. Like my wife, she's not the most playful person, right? So she ain't here for all the games, right, with the kids. But since I'm so playful, yeah, it's like a balance. You know what I mean? Like, since I'm so playful, I get to do different things with them that help them develop who they are. Whereas my wife is more nurturing. Like, I'm not kissing too many boo boos. I'm sorry. Like, go to your mom. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, but that's just me. But I think the benefit in having a father present as well is that, like, you have both, right? And that's why God gave us both. You have these two people that are going to teach you, and ultimately you're going to be a combination, or you're going to learn a combination of skills and lessons and experiences from both of these people. So, well, I guess that answers your question in one part. I want to list like 5 more like you asked me to, but
It's all good.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think it's important, like, to see ahead of the household. It's important to have that, even for our daughters, like, to see what that image looks like, right? If you really step to that plate and you handled your business the way you're supposed to, she's now gonna have that experience to say, this is how it's supposed to go. You know, like this ain't right. Like, whatever relationship she gets into in the future, she's gonna understand what it is and what it should look like. And it's very necessary, because if she doesn't have it, when women choose bad men, what the first thing they say is she got daddy issues.
Yeah.
They don't say she got mommy issues. They say she got daddy issues.
Yeah.
Because she's picking bad men. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
so that alone will tell you it's not that her dad told her to pick a bad man. It's like whatever experience she has, everybody chalks it up to the fact that she got daddy issues.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know? So
Yeah, man. Yo, man. That's awesome, man. So what do we need to, what's coming up for the dad gang? What's like, what do we need to keep our ears open to? Whatever. I know you got to hold some stuff back, whatever you feel like sharing, man, let the folks know.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a lot. It's a lot, man. We've been doing, for the last few years, I've been reposting a lot of content. We didn't do too much content creation of our own. I mean, I might create content with my kids, but we're moving into the space where a lot of like big brands are like looking and understanding how genuine and authentic our content is. So a lot of people are reaching out. So we got some really amazing content that we created now, that are going to be partnerships that's going to be dropping really soon. So I'm really excited for that. I mean, 2020 was going to be the year. We started this thing called Strolling with the Homies in 2018, right? We did one stroll, where we said, you know what, it's cool to change the image. It's cool what we're doing to merge the Instagram, but let's take it a step further. Let's go outside and, shock some people. Let them see how we do. So I said, we're going to do Strolling with the Homies. I said, we want to get 100 dads and their kids to come out, and we're going to stroll through the park. I didn't know if it would work. Prayed on it. Spoke to the boys, and 100
Wow.
dads pulled up, and we strolled. Dude, it was incredible. We strolled through Prospect Park. People were out there crying, like, just to see that type of image. And even for me and the dads that were in attendance, just to be in that type of space with that type of love, because we did with our kids now too. So you like, men are vulnerable when they're with their kids,
Right.
Especially in bigger numbers. I've never experienced that before, and a lot of them have never experienced that. So the type of love, like, you approach a dude a lot. Your swag is different when you're on daddy duty. You know what I mean? So imagine being on daddy duty with 100 dads, right? And you outside, and you're like, you being protective. You're watching the kids play, and you're like, this is a vibe. So that was 2020 was supposed to be our like breakout year. We had like about 10 cities to go to.
Wow.
That was going to be starting. Yeah. So I mean, it's a big downfall. It's a little disappointing, but of course we got to pivot. So the pivot is going to be very interesting. So I can't say it now because we didn't broadcast it yet, but it's going to be a very interesting pivot. That I think will still be effective and still be really important and not entertaining, but fun for the dads to do and like experience. You know, keep that same and that same shock value and impact too for like the outside looking in.
Cool.
They're gonna see dads get together in a way that they've never seen before. So
yeah. So
yeah, man.
How do people get in contact? How do they follow you? What's the info that they need?
So it's at the Dad Gang, THEDADGANG on every platform. That's Facebook, that's Instagram, that's Twitter, it's YouTube. The website is also thedadgang.com. Pretty much locked in everything the Dad Gang. So
That's what's
please
up.
follow. Visit the site. Yeah, I'm telling you, man, God looked out, man. It was always just, you know what I'm saying? Just flew like so. Yeah, just follow us on all those platforms. Visit the website. Father's Day is coming up. Get yourself hooked up. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah. I got my hoodie, but I would have probably been turning into a raisin.
Oh yeah,
the hoodie is super warm, but yeah, man. Support, man. I don't know, McDonald. Any more questions or anything you want to hit?
No, man. Look, man. I'm just excited, man, because this is like my lane, right? You know, like when I was younger and I had, my relationship with my dad, I looked at it from the standpoint of like, okay, these are the things that you shouldn't be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I just always said like, when I became a dad, all these things that I do and blah, blah, blah. Now, don't get me wrong. Like there are a lot of areas that I fail at, daily as it relates to being a father.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just so much more benefits, to having that role than not. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
It's the dopest thing. Like even just being able to kind of see them swagged up, dressed up and in public, that kind of stuff is like, it's crazy. And to see them develop into their own personalities and to kind of see how you've impacted or rubbed off on them.
Yes.
So everything you're doing, man, I'm like super excited, man. I'll support it, man. And I wish you the best in the future, man. And I hope that everything pans out for you.
Yeah, man.
Thank you.
Yo, man, what you're doing is, I reiterate what McDonald said, is you're creating community that wasn't there before. And as black men, we need that because that's so important, man. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep spreading that.
I appreciate
it. Stay strong. Whatever we can do to support, please let us know. Because
you guys are doing it right now. Thank you for having me on you guys' platform. I accept everyone, man, especially Jamie. We've known each other for quite a while, so I appreciate it. McDonald, meeting you now, you know what I'm saying? You guys are stand-up gentlemen, so I appreciate and dads. So y'all Dad Gang anyway, right? So talking with my brothers, it's always a good thing. And so I appreciate you guys, noticing and supporting what I'm doing and having me on the platform, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, we appreciate you, man, and Godspeed on everything.
Yeah. So man, you did the shows. You're already a dope dad, but now we have to make you a really dope dude, man.
I'll take it.
And so you're officially.
I will take it.
So you are now a really dope dude dad. So man, we appreciate you. And I'm gonna close it out with this video that you did so that the folks can see that. And then man, just support, show love, and we appreciate you, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you, brother.
All
right, man.
Give me 1 sec.